Welcome, Alan.
Good evening, thank you.
Good. I'm Ken Coyle.
Good evening, Alan. Kevin DiMarzio. Nice to talk to you.
Good evening, thank you.
We've kind of been asked by the Board of Selectmen to get like an update of what's going on. You know, I know there was, obviously with the virus, things have been probably slowed down for you, but there was supposed to be some stuff happening in February, the middle of February, kickoff meeting and that sort of stuff. So we're just kind of hoping to get an update as to what's going on.
Yeah, no problem. So on February 26th, my team met with, I'd say, the Abington PD leadership down there. And they did what we call our kickoff visit. So that's when the whole team goes down there as one and kind of gets the generals about the PD. They do a tour. They get to inspect various areas. That kind of puts them all on the same note when they head back. Mm-hmm. Then after that, we divide the study up into what we call chapters, but it's what you would call as topics. And, we break it up according to who specializes in what on the team. And then those folks work with who their, I'd say, counterparts, but who those specialists might be on the other side in Abington to answer those questions, get that data. If they have to go down and say, inspect the evidence room, stuff like that. That's what's all kind of going on now. There's been an awful lot of data back and forth. Today I saw an email about calls to service because we're trying to, develop what ideal levels are, the workforce levels are for the PD. Yep. We've got a ton of documents that we've gone through that we've requested through the chief going back a couple of months. Because when we show up down there for the kickoff visit, we like to know, we'd like to know some things about the PD, so we've been reviewing that stuff for months. And then the other thing we're doing is we're starting to work our way through phone interviews with past employees so that we can kind of understand retention issues, why people leave, because that's important, particularly when you're looking forward. And I believe we went live with a survey last week.
Excellent, thank you.
Alan, when you the records that you're getting, the employees, everything, where is that coming from? Who's directly giving you that information?
I think some of it's coming from the deputy chief. I think some's coming from the chief, and I think that there might be a lieutenant involved in that. So that would be what we would consider records that are in the care and custody of the executive branch, so to speak, of the chief. So those would be policies and procedures, stuff like that. I know we reached out to somebody for data out of your CAD system on calls for service. So, and if it's a question on evidence, then we're dealing with your evidence person. If it's a question about equipment, we're dealing with whoever's in charge of those pieces of equipment. That's how we do it. And when I say counterparts, that's what I'm talking about. So that we're getting it from, it's not being filtered by anybody, is the point.
Understandable. I just didn't know, so it's not coming from the town manager, it's coming from other sources, correct?
Right, because these are things that I don't think that the town manager would even be privy to in many cases.
Understandable. I know there's a chain of command in town where everyone reports to the town manager, and then he reports to the Board of Selectmen. So I would just want to clarify that. Thank you for that information. I just want to take a step back for a second. The email that Ken and myself had sent to you, we brought it back to the board. We talked to the full board. It was a unanimous decision that we be a part of this and that we reach out to you and have at least a phone conversation so we can kind of discuss things.
Right.
So I do want to say, I know sometimes email's kind of tough and, maybe the wrong message gets sent, but, there was no ill intentions in that email. It was just, we were, as you might know, you might not know, is that we have a town manager that has a separation agreement that is up at the end of this month in 29 days. He's actively seeking employment, so, and we have a town election coming up. So continuity of the board, of the study, town manager, it's really going to fall on the police subcommittee, which is myself and Ken Coyle. So, you know, we were told we'd be informed. It was in the RFP multiple times about it would be reported to the Board of Selectmen through the town manager. You know, to sum it up for you, we had asked for basically an update, and then we asked to get copied on emails. We got basically forwarded a lot of emails that then said that there was a kickoff meeting and all these other things had already been happening, and we hadn't heard one word of it. And fast forward from, Ken, when was that we got all those emails we requested? It's been at least...
It was after the last meeting, but...
like probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And Rick, you can interject too if you feel.
I think it's been about, well, maybe Rick, you can answer the last meeting when we asked if there was any other communication, and it really hasn't been.
No, yeah, I don't know if can you hear me okay, Alan?
Yes, yep, just
Okay,
about.
no, very little communication. The major communication has been between the department and Alan, because I don't have any information to give them. So this is really, this is the consultant's project, not mine, and I'm really, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
What else you got?
Yeah, so I just want to say that after that meeting, we had asked, and so I don't know what has been transpired since, or what has been sent since, you know, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but we haven't received anything of any update or any other movement on it, so I was...
By the way, I haven't received anything either, because, again, the consultant doesn't give me an update every day or every week. It's, again, it's presumably when the consultant decides it's appropriate for the project to give me an update. Would that be fair to say, Alan? I don't tell you what to do.
I'm actually hearing about it every third word from you, Rick. But, you know, if I could just say it.
Even the good ones.
Yeah, at this point, the work is pretty much between my team and what I would refer to as, you know, counterparts, the people responsible for specialty functions at the PD. And there's really no, you know, we wouldn't have cause to include Rick in a communication between my guys that's doing a chapter on evidence and your evidence guy.
Okay.
You know, that just wouldn't be appropriate. So that's why he's not hearing a lot. And you know, from our perspective, I've been with, the company's been in business for 30 years. I've been with the company for 12 years. And during that 12 years, I've overseen all of our public safety projects. And they range from South Carolina to Presque Isle, Maine, and out to Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And, you know, we're not doing anything differently on this than we have on all the others, because we view these as, you know, kind of independent. We don't want anybody's thumb on the scale on either side. And I think that's what you're paying us for, is that independent review. And, you know, that's what we would like to deliver.
Alan, we actually read some of your findings from other towns, and we were definitely impressed. And, you know, you're not afraid to tell it like it is, and that's, you know, we wanted to make sure that you knew that too. We are not trying to do your job for you, just, you know, feel out of the loop, and we wanted some continuity in case, because to be honest with you, Rick's right here, and I'm not afraid to say it, but Rick could leave, you know, in 2 weeks, so, yeah, I mean, you never know, and he could have left, you know, 2 weeks ago, so, so we just want some continuity in case that it was to happen, and just, you know, so we're in the loop so the board is aware of what's happening, that's all.
Yep, no, I understand that, and the continuity from our side comes through me, because I manage the project. You know, so I'm not working on it on a day-to-day basis, but the people that are reporting to me.
Yep.
And through me. So that's how I maintain. So any of the studies that you've read, if they've been in the last 12 years, my eyes were the last ones to see and edit that report.
Sure.
And that'll hold true for this one as well.
So, Alan, this is Kevin again, sorry. So, you know, and you have a lot more experience in this, but I guess part of what I was envisioning is that we have an RFP. So you have a scope of services that you're performing, but almost like there was, I'd almost envision that there's like a punch list. So not like we're a month in and we're gonna say, hey, we did these 15 things, more of like a running punch list, you know, hey, we did this, we did this. And again, not on a day-to-day basis. I mean, the Board of Selectmen meets every other week. I think it's in the RFP that there should be monthly updates. But, you know, how do you, in your experience, have you dealt with that?
I mean, honestly, I can't remember doing that. From a punch list standpoint, I'm pretty familiar with the term because I've been involved in some significant building projects, but these things don't get done. There's no order to the things that get done. So, you know, one of the consultants might have 4 different areas of expertise that he's dealing with, and he's doing all of those things at the same time. So the guy that is reviewing policies and procedures may also be making some of those phone calls to past employees, and all we care about is that it all comes together at the same time. And then what happens is there's an exchange of information between all of the team members, because none of us work in silos, just like a police department does it. So, you know, until all of the team members flow their product through the team leader, and they each see what each other wrote, that's when things really start to come together. So, you know, I'm happy to do like a progress report that's, you know, probably not on a weekly basis, but every couple of weeks that says, you know, here's where we are, here's what we're doing. We've talked to, you know, this number of people, the surveys are coming in. You know, other than that, it's a lot of just boring grinding through details. That's kind of what we do at this phase.
Understandable, Alan. In my line of work, I'm in charge of policies and procedures, so I know, trust me. So I understand the picture. So, yeah, I mean, I guess something like that, more of an update on that aspect, not a day-to-day thing, not things, but as they progress, you know, here we're working through these things, we're continuing. We have it like in town, we have a Mass DOT highway project, and they give weekly, but it's like, you know, continuing to work on this, upgrading this, continuing to do that. Because at the end of the day, I know, you know, we have $30,000 for a study. This, I think your scope of services and the contract was $23,500. You know,
right.
And as things come up, if there's something that, you know, we have flexibility with money. So, you know, if we get an update that you're, you know, one of you guys is stuck on something, it needs more time with, it's going to have to come through the Board of Selectmen, or through the subcommittee to the Board of Selectmen. So, and we also have to update. We have a board of 5 that we have to update as well. So, you know, us being in the loop in some fashion would be great.
Well, giving you, like I said, giving you an update, I'd say like every 2 weeks, just because nothing we do is all that moves all that quickly. Or certainly, if you had a question about an update, hey, you know, anything going on, you should feel free to send me that. I think my cell phone number is also available to you. I know that that's on all of my documentation. So anybody can call me anytime. But I'm happy to generate something from me to you through Rick, as long as he's there, or you just tell me who you want it to go to, that says, kind of, here's where we are in the grand scheme of things. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial in this case. Again, not getting us into the day-to-day, but just an update so we're kind of kept abreast of what's going on. Because, I mean, this, I think in your initial packet it said 180 days, so I mean, this could be a 6-month study, you know, which is going to put us out quite far. And, you know, I think the board is going to want, you know, regular updates from us as well.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's not a problem at all. And I'll make sure that my team leader knows that, and I'll get something from him, and then I'll put that in some kind of format that's good for you folks, and I'll just send it out in the form of a memo from me to you.
Now, I mean, my preference, I'll ask Ken to weigh in on this as well, would be that if it's maybe in an email to the police subcommittee, which would be me, Ken, and then, you know, Rick LaFond on it.
Yeah, no problem.
Would you be all right with that, Ken?
Yeah, that's fine.
Rick?
Yeah, I mean, again, as long as it's something general, it doesn't give any specifics that could influence the confidentiality that's necessary, yeah? Would that be reasonable, Alan? I know that's one of the biggest concerns, but is that the study could be perhaps slanted in any given way for any particular purpose, and we don't want to compromise that.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't have any problem with doing the update. Just kind of generally where we are, what we've accomplished, and kind of what we have left. That's not a problem. And my promise to all of our clients in studies like this is if we see something that's let's say a serious risk, if it's not addressed immediately, we would come to you directly. You know, I can think of places in the past where we've done, say, an inspection of the cell block area. I know that your building is in really good shape, but we've done inspections of the cell block area or inspections of where the prisoners are being booked. And we've gone directly to the mayor or to the town manager and said, this needs to be addressed immediately, because once we become aware of it, we kind of feel responsible for it. So I can also assure you that that'll happen if, in fact, we encounter something like that.
Alan, if you feel along the way, if you want to give us maybe a recommendation as to anything that you think you didn't expect in your RFP or something beyond this scope, just let us know, because as Kevin said, we have a little bit extra money, so if you felt something had to be looked into further or something unexpected came, just let us know and we'll bring that forward to the board.
Right, that sounds good.
So, Alan, just a point of reference here, with this whole COVID-19 going on, how has it been detrimental or pushed the study back at all?
No, I wouldn't say it's pushed it back. I think that maybe at this point, you know, various members of the team would have been down there for different things, and we're trying to not do that. I really don't want to send, you know, our people out into that, and I think that you folks probably don't want the exposure from us coming in. So we might be doing a little more on the phone, but at some point, we're going to have to get down there. You know, each individual consultant is probably going to have things that they want to see directly and inspect. So we're just trying to push that off kind of as long as we can to see what happens in the next 30 days or so. But they have plenty of work to do in the meantime.
Now, when you say you've got a couple other consultants, does like one person handle like the community policing aspect, one person will handle the retention, one person will handle the budget? Is that kind of, or several things? Is that the way you break it up?
Exactly. So each one of those, each one of our people, and they're our employees, is assigned some number of topics. Like I said, we call them chapters.
Yep.
And those are chapters that we know that that's their specialty. So that's, you know, they're assigned to those chapters, and they work their way through that material, you know, with not from A to B to C, but they do them kind of all at the same time. It all kind of merges together. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what we try to do in the study, and you said you've read some of our reports, is kind of identify why a topic is important, then kind of what you're doing. We call that our observations, and then what should be done, and that's included with our recommendations, so that so that anybody reading the report will be able to understand why, you know, why a community policing philosophy is important, why certain procedures and evidence are important. And so it's very clear. You don't have to have police knowledge to understand most of what we're going to write.
Okay. You have anything else, Kevin? Or?
Yeah, so far with the study, everything's gone as planned. You're, like I said, outside of the COVID-19, which you're making adjustments for, you're still on track. And is there anything else to report right now, or so far with this?
Let's see. No, you know, everything is as we were expected to be as far as, you know, our progress in it goes. So, yeah, there's nothing really that stands out at me. Yeah, everything seems to be, from our from our standpoint, I'm not saying normal with the PD. I'm just saying from our process, everything seems to be normal, except we probably, a couple of the people probably haven't been down there when they would have liked to have been over the last week or so.
Alan, I know you guys have hit it real hard because I know the chief and the deputy and the staff are down there have been pretty stressed to get out a lot of information. So I know the time span is about 6 months. Sorry, was it?
Yeah.
And no pressure, but the way you guys have been going at this, it's hard to believe it would take that long. So you don't even have to comment on that. That's just from me. So. Am I not coming through right there? I don't think the public's going to be this anything. So.
We generally, I will comment. I mean, we generally think it's going to take about 4 months for a study to be completed. Quite honestly, there's a good deal spent on the far end at just doing editing because everybody doesn't write the same way, and so that goes through the Vegematic. I'm one piece of the Vegematic, and we make sure that it comes out the other end, all looking like it was written by one person. So that editing takes some time. But generally, I don't think that the 6 months will be a problem unless this COVID-19 does have some more serious impacts.
Right. Alan, Kevin and I got together and did the RFP and came up with all the things. And I'm going to speak personally for myself. My biggest concern was the retention, issue here. We're losing a lot of offices, and I just want to. And we worked hard. The board as a whole has worked hard to try to keep them with, trying to bump up their pay and longevity bonuses and and education incentives. So we're really trying hard. So and we know that's part of the RFP anyway. So I just wanted to get my 2 cents in and just I hope that's kind of focused on. That's all.
No, I get it. Retention is just a huge problem industry-wide right now.
Yep.
So anything that we're able to find that can kind of point you in the right direction for moving forward, we're going to do. Whether it's recruiting, whether it's hiring maybe people that there's a higher probability that they might leave, whether it's the culture of the department. Those are all things that we look at in these studies, and we'll identify in the report.
So with that, Alan, I mean, do you have a certain benchmark you look at, a time frame on these, like with the retention, or do you is there a certain benchmark for your company or in the industry?
Well, it really depends on how much turnover there's been. So in some smaller departments, we've done departments down to 2 people, and then we've done some with hundreds. So it really depends on the numbers. So if there's 7 people that have left over the last 5 years, all 7 of those people are probably going to be given an opportunity to speak with us. If there's a whole bunch of people, then we're most interested in the last, say, 2 years, because things can change in that 2-year period, so that it makes things irrelevant. It might have happened 4 or 5 years ago that might have driven somebody to leave. There could be changes in pay scale. There could be changes in command. There could be a lot of little different things. So we start with the most recent people to leave and go backwards from there. So we think we have a pretty reasonable understanding of what the issues are.
Alan, what if, I'm presuming that there may be people who you would speak to in any place that have personnel matters, discipline. How do you know when you speak to them how credible they are? Just just universally. How do you know that? How do you assign a credibility to?
I just have to tell you that some of that is, and it may sound silly, is a little intuitive. So all of us on a project like this, we've all been police chiefs. And we've all done, one of the other things we do an awful lot of are internal investigations. So we've spent our careers just trying to, figure people out and figure out the veracity of things that we're being told. So, there's a lot of that goes on at the same time. And, we probably won't hear anything. I doubt that anything anybody would tell us would surprise or shock any one of us.
Right?
You know, we've probably heard it before, so then it becomes what's the volume of it compared to, other places. And, in my experience, I think in our experience, and this oversimplifies things, a third of the people will do whatever you ask them to do, and they'll say, what else can I do? You get a third of the people that just aren't going to be happy no matter what happens. And then you've got kind of the group in the middle that they just want to do their jobs and go home at the end of the day. And they can be swayed by either of the other two groups. So, generally we're pretty good at figuring out what that is. But we're looking for common themes, really, among people. So if someone spouts to us a common theme, and maybe we do think that they were subject of a problem, right? Then it's a common theme. And, there's nothing, now if there's an outlier, sometimes it's the outliers that, we have to kind of examine and say, I wonder if this person has other motivation for this. But it's really the common themes we're looking for.
So, Alan, when you're doing that, do you have a do you kind of let that kind of walk its way and take it as it comes, or do you kind of get to a point where you stop that and kind of move on?
Stop the interviews?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if you see a common theme, are you guys, is that, at that point, are you not necessarily going into that, but are you kind of going into that and then stopping? I mean, once you kind of get a feel for it, that, listen, this is something that isn't relevant or is isolated?
Yeah, I'd say, once we get through that first, 2 years, I think that those common themes emerge pretty well. And, usually there's not a lot more sense in going back beyond that because I'm not sure it's all that relevant anymore. And, we took this RFP to be something that was more forward-looking than something that was looking back. The past informs what needs to be done in the future to fix things, or to make things better. So at some point, I guess I would agree with you that we think that we've heard all the common themes. And if we heard something that was outside of those themes, then it would probably be an outlier, so to speak. And that just has what's 1% or what's 2%, and what value of that is that for the whole. So that just kind of, I think, becomes a judgment on our part.
Okay.
Alan, I actually have a question about civil service. I know that, and you don't have to talk about Abington in this, but just kind of like maybe your thoughts as a police chief and doing all these surveys. We did ask for some, recommendations on that, but I know that I think the chief is kind of, we're kind of like to get out of civil service, and but I think obviously the union officers want to stay in civil service. Do you see any trends or any benefits, or you just want to wait to report your findings to us, I guess?
Well, if anybody asked me that question on the street, I'd give them an honest answer. How it applies to Abington, I'm not sure. Yeah. But generally, I think that civil service is kind of a dying breed. The office has got, and I'm not a civil service expert, so there were some people on the study that are really good with civil service. I'm not, and I'll be honest with you, I've never worked with it, but I've done so many studies in Mass that I understand it, okay. I most of the studies we do, we recommend taking out of civil service. And there are some generalities for why we think that. And, sometimes it ties the staff's hands as far as promotions and hiring and stuff like that. But every community is different. And, I could probably find a place where we said, no, they really need to stay where they are right now. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if your chief's position is civil service or not.
The police chief is not civil service. Fire chief is, but not police chief.
Because that's always a pretty strong recommendation. We don't see a lot of value in having a police chief in civil service.
Okay. The other thing too is that in the RFP or in our wordings, we talked about the police chief is going to retire at some point in the, I'm not going to say near future, but in the future. So we kind of looked for maybe some strategies for that. So I just wanted to make sure that's going to be, addressed a little bit. And I know that your firm, I mean, I'm not going to say, but at some point we may need a firm to, I say we because I'm off the Board of Selectmen shortly, but.
They do recruiting.
Right, they do recruiting, so that's the point I'm trying to make, so you probably don't want to tell us everything in that.
No, but my strong recommendation, we do a lot of police chief recruitments, and my strong recommendation is always to do an assessment center.
Which our charter requires that. That's essentially what it recommends, not necessarily by that name, but there is a requirement
good.
for, yeah.
That's all we really do now on the fire and the police side. I can't remember doing a police chief's process that wasn't an assessment center. That's just the way to go. And as far as when you're changing chiefs, no matter who you hire, whether it's somebody inside, outside, whatever it is, our study, and one of the things that I really appreciate out of our studies is so often we hear from people that have taken over command, or they're applying for the job and they've gone on and they've read our report. I know our reports that were done 8, 10, 12 years ago, and we'll walk into the building and the town manager or the chief will say, you know what, I still look at that report a couple of times a month, and I'm still checking things off the list. And there are some clients that have called us back when we submit the report to you. We're going to do a compilation of recommendations. So there'll be one chapter at the end, and it just has all of our recommendations listed by chapter in chronological order. So you can go to that. You can see, chapter or recommendation 1.5 is the 5th recommendation in chapter 1. So you can go and you can look back and you can read all the supporting material for that recommendation. And, we've actually had people have us back afterwards and say, can you put all of those into a spreadsheet for us so that we can then check them off as we go. And, we've done that. We've even been called back to do progress reports after, say, a year or two to see how people have progressed on our recommendations. So we like it to be used as a tool to move everybody forward in the right direction.
That's great news, thank you.
No, I think it'll be good moving forward with the updates, and I'm glad we got to talk to you tonight, Alan, and, hear a little bit of an update tonight, and hear that everything's going well. And as far as the time frame, I don't really think that there's a rush on this either, so, with the COVID-19 and everything changing, I don't think that there's really a rush, so if it takes longer, it takes longer. I understand that. I think everyone would understand that as well, so.
And,
Yes, for me, if we start running into a bind at the end, I won't compromise the quality of the report for a time frame.
Thank you.
And everybody has always understood that. So and I would expect the same from you folks. So if I start running into some kind of there's an illness on the team, or that there's something that delays us, I would reach out to you folks and say, hey, I need another 3 weeks to finish the edits on this thing, or whatever it is. And to me, it's the quality of the report in the end that matters.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that.
Alan, just so you know, it sounds like you've been getting some great cooperation from the town manager and the leadership at the police station. But if there's any questions or concerns, or if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Kevin, the subcommittee, and we'll report back to the board. We're not trying to tell you how to do your job, because obviously, I've shared some of your reports with other members of the board, and we're all very happy with the work you do, but just wanted to let you know that if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Oh, that's perfect, and I'll make sure the team knows that, and they can funnel any of that stuff up through me, and then I'll funnel it to you folks.
Okay.
Believe me, if I think that we're having some kind of a problem or we're running into some kind of a roadblock, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything else?
No, just, I mean, well, I'm sure at some point we'll meet you face to face, but I look forward to meeting you face to face and introducing myself.
All right, super. I look forward to that, too.
All right. Thanks, Alan.
You all set?
All right, thanks, gents. Stay well.
You too. You too, really, thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.